Previous altcoin pick SNX put in 78% gains in under a week. Dude gave us a healthy 68% move, and Zek provided us with an incredible 240% since posting the chart last week. And I've got plenty more for you today, so stay right there. This is W Wormhole, a previous altcoin pick which hasn't quite popped yet. We have this golden cross with the 50 and the 200, and we've been waiting essentially for it either to make a solid breakout above this resistance line or come back down a little bit more flush with the 200 MA. Now, I'm not sure that's going to happen now because Bitcoin has been putting in a recovery over the last few days. So what we're ideally looking for with Wormhole now is to surpass this previous swing high with a strong breakout, and they want to look to come in on the retest around this sort of area, and then hopefully we'll get a nice bounce all the way up to our most logical take profit price point of around 1885. But just ensure you wait for a solid breakout. Don't just come in and trade this, because it's more than likely the price action will head a little bit lower following that. So you want to have a strong move surpassing the previous high and then look to come in on the retest. That's ultimately the play still for Wormhole. This is C98, another previous altcoin pick which until today hasn't popped, but it is, as you can see at the moment, making moves all the way to the top of this range, which is exactly the kind of breakout from this triangle pattern and the 200 MA which we want to see. And you'll notice I've put this nice little green box here for an ideal place to enter following a retracement. So again, do not chase this under any circumstances. Don't chase it. Wait for it to finish its move and then wait for it to come back down. And presuming it stays within this range and doesn't break above here, then of course this remains a great place to come in on for a retest, because ultimately we've now had the breakout. We need a bit of a retracement to bring in more buyers to the market. And then we've got this upper triangle trend line, which is previously acting as resistance, as well as the 200 MA on the daily, which is a significant moving average. We just simply need to wait for the price action to come back down to retest this area with lovely confluence to confirm that resistance to support flip, the SR flip, and then hopefully we'll have a move up from here. But that's the play for C98, making moves as we speak with good volume. But just a reminder, these setups are coins or tokens that are simply providing opportunities to trade based on established TA and are available to trade across a variety of centralized and decentralized exchanges. You can trade them any way you see fit, long or short, for intraday trading or long-term holds. We provide the analysis, but you decide how to trade. And of course, bear in mind the movement of these assets are very dependent on the market weather, the money flow, and what Bitcoin is doing. So to trade these successfully, ensure you're subscribed to all our weekly coverage and be sure to check out our most recent Bitcoin update video, as that contains all the info you need to trade these setups successfully. Next up is Super. We've had this initial breakout of this descending channel and the 200 MA again on the daily chart with some pretty significant volume. Now the issue is, of course, you'll notice that a lot of people who have been entering their positions at these levels have taken profits here. So this is just a wick and the candle closed back within the pattern. So if you just zoom in a little bit, you can see we had the breakout, but we didn't get the candle body close. So that's not really a confirmed breakout in my view, certainly not on the daily chart. And you can see now the price action is back underneath this, the 200 MA. So this moving average is still acting as resistance, and this upper descending channel trend line is also acting as resistance. But if we do get another breakout, this again would be the ideal place to come in on for the retest following the move. Now, the bulls obviously will be paying attention to this because of this breakout, and even though people have taken profits quickly, there's less sellers now than there were a couple of days ago. So the next breakout might have some legs. But again, don't chase the breakout. We want to see a strong move to the top of the range, maybe even beyond, and then let it come back down for your ideal retracement entry. That's Super, looking like it's lining up. Next up, we've got PYTH USDT daily, and we've had the price action back at the end of August break above this, the 200 MA again on the daily chart, and the point of control. And we've since retraced, and the price action is now sitting below the point of control, but above the 200 MA. So you've got two plays here. If Bitcoin does retrace a little bit, then of course you can come in again on the 200 MA, which is great for risk management. Or if Bitcoin heads up from here, you could see a break of the point of control. And then as long as you surpass this previous swing high, you could be looking again to come back in on. But the other option, instead of entering on the 200 MA support level here, the other option is to wait for a breakout with the point of control and this resistance area acting as nice confluence at the moment at around 1615. Wait for the previous swing high to be surpassed for bullish confirmation and then look to come back in in around this area. That's the play I'm waiting for, but depending on your risk tolerance, you've got a couple of options here. Enter on the 200 MA support or the breakout entry above the point of control. A few options here, but PYTH looking good, especially because we've already had this initial breakout, which is suggesting the bulls are trying to take back control, which is exactly what you need to see before entering a trade like this. Bullish confirmation, and then look for your entry. So that's PYTH. Next up, we've got ASTER USDT. This is the 1 hour chart, and we've got this descending channel, which the price action appears to be breaking out of at the moment. So ASTER's in play at the moment. Now, obviously, it's a bit of a meager breakout, but firstly, just to point out, there is a bit of ambiguity over this descending channel's upper trend line. It could potentially also be here, meaning we had the breakout a little bit earlier than the one which seems to be happening at the moment with this upper trend line. So be cautious about the trend lines here and make sure you've got them mapped out correctly and have a look at multiple time frames, because if traders are seeing the pattern slightly differently, it can add a bit of ambiguity and buyers might not necessarily show up. And the fact that this is a bit of a meager breakout so far might be supportive of that fact that buyers are a little bit confused about where the breakout is actually happening. So wait for a stronger move up, ideally surpassing this previous swing high again for trend-based dynamic bullish confirmation, and then look to come back in on the retest in around this area here, this little blob, as James likes to say. And then hopefully we'll have a nice bounce from here. But because Bitcoin is at resistance at the moment itself, we need to be cautious with these setups and not entering on these meager sort of breakouts, and wait for something a little bit more bullish and then look to come in with other sellers on the first retest of this breakout zone. But that's ASTER. Next up, again, a similar sort of play. This is APT USDT daily. We've got the 200 MA nice and flush with this diagonal trend line, and all we simply need is a breakout of this range. Again, we ideally want to see it surpass the previous swing high. Lots of similar setups this week, and come up here, and then you've got this nice area to potentially come in on for the retest. And because it's quite low down to all-time low prices, APT specifically is pretty good for risk management right now, because we're not having to chase the price action all the way up here. It's already on the bottom. We just need a strong move up from here, surpassing this previous swing high, and then look to come in on this sort of zone. But APT is looking pretty good for, again, another breakout and retest entry. Bear in mind, of course, in terms of take profit with these setups, caution is advised here. You'll notice my TP is right at the next support level, even though we are potentially entering midterm hold sort of territory for some of these altcoins. Caution is still advised given what Bitcoin is doing at the moment. It's had a very strong run up, so having a week where it's just retracing a little bit or ranging may be on the cards. So caution with these setups. Think very carefully about where you take profits. Now, if you are keen to enter APT and maybe hold it all the way up to here, you could lock in some profits at this level and see how it interacts with this level. And if it does break high, then you can maybe stay in or add to your position again. But still need to be quite cautious with these altcoin setups at the moment, because the entire market is a little bit all over the place. But a great place to enter for APT, regardless of whether it's a short-term or medium-term play. And finally today, turning to crypto OG XRP, we have this very interesting combination of two inverse head and shoulders patterns. Super janky, of course, but it's the psychology you want to be paying attention to, not the fact that it doesn't look exactly textbook. So we have the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder, and then we have within the right shoulder of the bigger pattern, which has been in play since about a year now. So we are looking now for XRP to break out of this smaller inverse head and shoulders, and because it's nice and flush with the 0.618 fib level, if we do get a breakout, coming back in at this area on the retest is again super safe, super easy to manage, and also you've got the 200 MA coming in to act as support if that happens. So think about what the price action is going to be doing over the next few days and weeks, and then plan accordingly. But you'll notice that a lot of these setups are all very similar at the moment, and these breakout and retest plays are fundamentally based on just trend change confirmation, a higher high, giving the price action a little bit of air beneath it to wear out the sellers, and then having nice confluence on the flip side for that SR flip and that bullish retest. And that's ultimately what XRP is giving us at the moment. Now, of course, if XRP just goes straight up from here, you'll obviously have to reevaluate this entry. But as long as it's staying around this area, this is ultimately what you want to see for an ideal move. So the breakout entry of this smaller head and shoulders pattern will hopefully be in play over the next few days. So keep your eye on that. But let's just quickly check in with the money flow. Bitcoin dominance, of course, is helpful to altcoins when it's descending down, and we have this potential double top forming, and this is the neckline here. So if you are a little bit hesitant about the altcoin market at the moment, there's two things you're waiting for from Bitcoin dominance. You're waiting for this double top neckline to be broken, so that would look like something like this, and then of course, if that does happen, you'll get this lower low fulfilled, confirming the move from this uptrend to a downtrend, which will allow altcoins to move again with a little bit more consistency, just like it was throughout August and September. So keep your eye on that neckline and keep your eye out for that elusive lower low, as that would indicate more people are entering their altcoin long positions, and therefore it's a little bit safer to enter the market with a bit more confidence. And of course, total 3 is reflective potentially of the setup we've just looked at on Bitcoin dominance, as we did have this dip below this ascending triangle. But now, as I talked about on Tuesday with Bitcoin update, ideally what we want to see is a recovery back into the triangle, or ideally through it. And that seems to be happening as well, because until we had this retrace, total 3 was in the process of putting in all new highs, essentially entering index discovery, meaning that it's the biggest it's ever been. And if you don't know what total 3 is, it's the entire cryptocurrency market cap minus Ethereum and Bitcoin. This is obviously very bullish for altcoins, but we need to be mindful of, because there is a lot of economic headwinds, and altcoins, risk assets, are the first thing to struggle. But this seems to be a nice recovery at the moment, following Bitcoin's recent bullish recovery over the last week or so. But for more altcoin setups like this, please consider subscribing, and also hit that like button and let us know in the comments what altcoins you're thinking of trading. We also have a private group you can join that posts charts like these throughout the week. But that's it for now. Catch you tomorrow for my weekly live stream, where you can ask me questions about any of the coins or tokens you're thinking of trading, or the ones we've looked at today. Hope to see you there. Until then.